borders are what help end wars. So for those of you out there that are going on about how, well, we don't need to have borders and we can have this totally free society and so on, yeah, you can. See, if you don't have any borders at all, any physical borders, right? Remember, we are physical beings. You have got to stop thinking about things in terms of the virtual. A lot of you out there, you're still stuck in this idea of automation, virtual shit, and playing fucking video games. Dude, we live, okay, your physical body still inhabits this planet, and you are governed by the laws of physics and nature. You are governed by those things. You're governed by the two laws of physics, laws of conscience. And that's just a reality, and there's no way out of that. And so borders are going to be a thing. And if you don't have borders, if you get rid of your physical borders, what'll happen is you will get clans, C-L-A-N, not K-L-A-N. You will get clans. People will naturally start to clan up. That is gonna end up happening. And when you have a bunch of clans that inhabit a certain area, I mean, how many of you played Fortnite, for fuck's sake? I mean, even I've played Fortnite. That's not exactly my favorite game, but even I've played Fortnite, right? Why do you think that the storm brings you all together into the center? It's because, like, yeah, because otherwise people would segregate. I'm not preaching segregationism or anything like that. I really genuinely don't care what color you are. That's really low frequency to me, and I've been very clear about that. In all the time I've been doing this, that to me is pretty low frequency. Now, to some people, that's important. Okay, fine, right? If that's important to you, I'm okay. I'm not even judging that. I'm just pointing out that people are going to end up clanning up if you don't have borders. And when they do that, and then you don't have any kind of border at all, eventually this is going to end up happening, and they're going to start fighting with each other. The idea of physical borders comes about to end wars, right? Now, for those of you that are going to say, like, well, what about the Middle East and everything? Look, unfortunately, the politics and history of that area are beyond my field of expertise. I have no real comment on that other than, dude, a lot of these countries and people have made their own beds over the last 3,000 odd years. We have our own problems. Again, as an American, we have a bit of our own problems here, right? And we should probably maybe focus on our problems before going out and trying to save the world, right? I mean, you know, and in fact, actually, the quickest way to save the world would be to just, you know, live a good life and then let people be drawn into that idea, as opposed to trying to go out and force our goodness down somebody else's throat. So anyway, borders help end a lot of that, because then it's a way of saying, hey, listen, if you want to, as much as I may thoroughly detest what you and your people, your clan, your group of folks, whatever it is, do, I may not like that. But I'm willing to say, hey, listen, if you're going to stay on that side of the river with it, this is where borders come from. I'm giving you some history here. This is exactly how borders exist. If you stay on that side of the river, we'll stay on this side of the river, and we will agree to disagree. We will agree to leave each other alone, right? We can do some trade at the river, but that's it. That's as far as this goes. Other than that, we're going to leave you alone to do whatever it is with your civilization. We're going to do what we want to do with our civilization. That is how you end wars, because wars are expensive. In terms of blood and treasure, they're expensive. And at a certain point, people get really fucking tired of prosecuting endless war after endless war, especially when they're completely needless, especially in other parts of the world where there isn't any war. And you're like, why are we involving ourselves in this? This has nothing to do with us. This is a dispute that some country, you know, that Russia and Ukraine, for example, had, that goes back hundreds of years. This is like an old problem that they have that has really nothing to do with any of us in the West. And it really doesn't. It doesn't. There's no reason for us to be all up in arms about it, just because we have our own deep water ports. Well, I mean, we don't own 80% of them, but if we owned all of our own ports, then we would have, you know, control of our own ports, our own deep water ports. We have our own resources that we are supposed to own, not some other foreign country or some foreign, you know, entity. So, like, yeah, I mean, like, this is kind of common sense, I realize, but like, that's where borders come from. That's the beginning of the idea of borders. That's why people do borders. It's so that way we can agree to disagree, and, you know, hey, you stay over there, we'll stay over here, and we can be not even friends, we can at least coexist with borders. That's where this stuff comes from. Okay, and so you have a practical reality. I realize that the idea of the erasure of borders exists in the digital sense, and that's true, and it's definitely erased a ton of borders. But notice how even that's becoming really highly ghettoized, right? I just commented this the other day, that like you notice that the search engines don't even work anymore. They're just propaganda machines. You have to use a VPN, and then you'll get a different answer. Like, it's just ridiculous, right? So, in other words, the internet, which is supposed to be borderless, right, and it would show a lot of similarities with the people, and that also that's important also because the people in other countries that maybe see a different way, they maybe see a different way than dealing with like, oh my God, our dictator is really this horrible guy. Why can't we live like this? Well, yeah, that's one of the problems actually that the internet caused. Oddly enough, is it allowed people in other countries to see, like, hey, hold on, we're being ripped off by our government. Yeah, you think their government's like that? You think that tin pot dictator likes the idea that his people saw that, like, yeah, hold on, why are these people living like kings in other countries? Yeah, you don't want that, right? I mean, if you're a dictator, you don't want something like that. But if you want true freedom, right? Again, myself personally, I'm a free speech absolutist. Okay, an actual absolutist, and that I don't think there should be any regulation of any kind on any part of the internet for any reason. That includes all the really, really, really fucked up, horrible shit out there. Because you probably shouldn't be looking that fucked up, horrible shit up. Just saying. I mean, if you're looking that stuff up, that says more about you than it does about society around you, because people are always horrible. People are fucking terrible, man. I mean, look at the state of the world. Look, not just the state of the world now, right? We tend to, as people, we tend to get really myopic and we think only about what's going on right now. Dude, you realize this has been going on for fucking thousands of years. There was an old video I did a long time ago where I pointed this out, that if you were to go back into your lineage and you were to really be able to look back into your lineage, think of how horrible all the people were that came before you, you know, in your genetic history, right? I mean, it's really, I mean, how many, I mean, like, I can't even say a lot of the words on TikTok because my account will get nuked if I even say the words of what some of those people were, and it's the truth. Don't think that you got here, you know, because they were just, you know, clean and pure as the wind-driven fucking snow. There's a very good likelihood that you're here because of, you know, all of the trafficking that you're seeing now. There's a very good likelihood that at the time, we have to colloquially say it that way, but you know what I mean. There's a very good chance that somewhere, it's like there was that video that was going viral and stuff about, like, you know, my grandma, you know, I did the math, my grandmother was only like 12. Oh my gosh, pearl clutching, oh my gosh. Really? You think that didn't go on for thousands of fucking years? Grow up. For real. You think that, dude, you act as though you're new. No, I mean, like, come on. And by the way, I'm not even judging that morally or not. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just pointing out, like, dude, I mean, you're probably here as a result of that, somewhere in your lineage. You know, why is it you think that your grandmothers were all like 42 when they got first pregnant? And they were virgins until then? Yeah, whatever. Come on. So, no, and that's just one example of many that I could be giving, you know, that again, I have to be careful how I say this, but I mean, dude, every basic piece of human debris and fucking garbage that has ever existed in this world, you are the sum total of that. For real, you, me, everybody, we are the sum total of that is finally here. And the question is, how much further are we going to push that beyond? Now, I would argue that you want to try and do better. Right? That would be the argument that I would make. Let's try and do a bit better. Like, okay, yeah, we're the product of scum and villainy. All right, let's try and be a little bit better, a tiny bit better, and then pass that on. That's sort of ideal. Just a thought.